introduce yourself, like who you are and the company you're working with?
Sure. So my name's Dan Finneran. I'm a principal community advocate at iSurveillance. So we maintain two open source projects. One of them is Cilium, which is a CNI for Kubernetes. The other is eBPF, which is now an upstream project that is part of the Linux kernel. So allows us to extend what the kernel is actually doing.
How did you join iSurveillance?
How did I join iSurveillance?
How did that come about?
So that came about. I'm friends with Duffy. I used to work with him at Heptio, and I had a number of conversations with him. I already do kind of quite a bit in kind of the Kubernetes networking space. So I also maintain open source projects that kind of do the same thing. And then I had a number of conversations with Liz.
Yeah.
I had conversations with Thomas Graf, and then Dan, who's the CEO, CTO of iSurveillance, and it just was clear that it was a fantastic fit.
Awesome.
Been here 3 months now.
Oh, great. Congrats. Which open source projects do you maintain outside of iSurveillance related work?
Yeah, so two projects that I'm part of, one of which is Tinkerbell, which is bare metal provisioning. And the other is KubeVip, which is a load balancer for Kubernetes clusters.
How did that come about? Did we start those projects, or did you get involved as they were started, or what was the process like for getting?
Yeah, so Tinkerbell was kind of an extension of work that I was doing at a previous role, which is all around bare metal as service. And then KubeVip, that came about because I was doing a lot of customer work. So I've worked with a lot of customers who wanted to do Kubernetes on-prem, and they were having a lot of issues doing HA clusters and networking and things like that. So I was like, it's a bit of a nightmare the way it is.
Yeah.
And I managed to come up with some code that kind of worked.
Yeah.
And then over the last couple of years, it's been adopted by largely most of the providers at this point. So most of the on-prem Kubernetes distributions is kind of KubeVip under the covers, which is a terrifying thought, like code doing things like that.
What do you think in the open source space? Is there something that you could pinpoint out that you think is broken? And is there what if you could do anything, what would you do to fix it?
I mean, for me, I think that the biggest, I know it's tough and there's no real kind of easy fix to it, really is, but trying to find an easy way to get more people as contributors and maintainers and things like that. I mean, we're at this amazing conference, and, I sat through the plenaries, and it's all, we want to help maintainers, and we want to do this and embrace open source. And my phone's dinging because large vendors are, you need to fix this in your project. I'm like, I could do with help. Talking about helping people, and I'm like, there's not a lot of help out there for a lot of projects, and finding a way to fix that.
Yeah, totally. What do you think is the role of corporate companies in open source to either help fix or work towards improving that issue, or just in general as in their responsibility towards open source?
I mean, I see a lot of consuming, but not a lot of giving back. And that's, kind of everywhere. There's a lot of people who have a problem. They go on GitHub almost like a marketplace to find something.
Yeah.
And they grab that, they use it, they package it all up, job done. And they never tend to kind of look back at that point.
Yeah.
It's only when things start to break, they tend to complain as opposed to kind of go, how can we help you fix this?
Yeah.
So, kind of some of the work that we're starting to see, some of the companies establish these open source boards and make huge changes is a good step. It's still got a long way to go before I think contributions back will really kind of be, there's no code contribution, so it's, people consume and then complain when it doesn't work the way they expect it to. They don't kind of, they can help with documentation, they can help with this, but there doesn't seem to be a lot. There's largely a one-way stream. Yeah,
totally. It's something else I was thinking about this morning at one of the Fireside chats with Amanda, that it's for larger companies like Canonical, it's quite easy in a way to offer licenses, right, and long-term support, versus for individual contributors and maintainers, they are not in the same position where they have the leverage, I guess, towards companies to ask for that in return. I mean, as a content creator, it's a similar situation, right? People like to consume the content, but there's little that you get in return for it. Do you think there's something that can be done from a like community within the community to encourage companies to pay for their use.
Yeah, not necessarily. Paying for their use would be very nice. Yeah, like let's make some money.
To feel more, I guess, more involved, more the responsibility, not just as a user, but as part of being a user, also to then know that they have to feel more encouraged to give back. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, some good things that I've seen are some companies on Fridays will do like hackathons. They'll have half the day where it's actual time for them to contribute on their own projects or start their own projects, have an idea. But, the 9 to 5, serve 5 days a week, you never really have time to revisit that. So dedicated time that a company sets aside and doesn't expect you to be firefighting, you're doing your daily job. I think it's a good opportunity then for people to have that time to work on their own projects, to give back, to learn. Because there is quite a learning curve with Git and issues, PRs and all of that sort of stuff. So a lot of it's education, but some of it's time given in these big companies for individual contributors to get involved and help give back and things like that. So if they can set the culture, give the time, then in theory, it should blossom. In theory.
In an ideal world.
In an ideal world,
I spoke at this conference to a lot of people who identify as career changers who see themselves as users of open source tools, but not as contributors, but would like to eventually move into that direction. What advice, like, as a long-term open source contributor, what advice would you give them?
I mean, one thing, as I mentioned, is kind of learning the ropes a little bit. Just to say, there is quite a learning curve involved with just the open source tooling. It'd be nice to say, find a little project that you can kind of learn to contribute to. It's hard though to find something, because a lot of people use the big projects, but they have such a massive barrier to entry. Kubernetes, everybody talks about it, but to submit PRs, you have to go through massive lengthy processes and have very stringent requirements and things like that. So just try and create fun projects for yourself, learn kind of the ropes, and then you can start to move into bigger projects that you may be using and find ways to give back and things like that. So try and set yourself small goals and build upon it to hopefully get to where you need to get to.
Awesome. Thank you.